I want you to go back to your childhood, to the neighborhood in which you grew up, your home, your friends. Who were your friends? Who was your posse? Who was your BFF? Who was your best friend? Did you have a best friend? Sometimes at that age, best friend seems to change week after week. And what was it about that particular friend that made him or her that important person in your life? I lived in Trail, British Columbia. I had friends. I had lots of friends. I had Dougie Wetmore and Alan G. and Tim Seeley, but my very special friend was a little boy by the name of Charlie Cameron. Charlie, actually, his father was quite famous. He was the coach of the Trail Smoke Eaters hockey team. I thought that was pretty cool. I always wanted to be with Charlie. I really liked being at his house. It was a warm and comforting place to be. When I wasn't with him and I saw him playing with other kids, I felt jealous. I wanted to be there with him. I was always thrilled when he came, knocked on my door, and asked me to go out with him to play. And when I ran away from home when I was 5, I asked Charlie to come with me. He said no, so I went to his mom and dad's house for dinner, then I went home. Being with Charlie gave me a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging. Now, this morning, I've read this gospel from Luke countless times, noting the difference in this famous sermon from Jesus between Luke and Matthew, Sermon on the Mount from Matthew's Sermon on the Plains in Luke's edition. And this time, what struck me more than anything was the very first sentence, which read, "He, Jesus, came down with them and stood on a level place." With. It may be one of the most important words in our English language. Why is that? Because with connects. It joins. It gives a sense of purpose. It gives you a feeling of belonging. And by connecting, joining, and giving purpose, it creates a foundation for hope and for fulfillment in life. Moreover, it is incredibly relational. Do you want to go out with me? Is one of those invitations that few of us forget when a new friend may ask us. So in Luke's account today, of course, it's a level place. As to Matthew's mountain, Jesus is coming to be with them. Not above, not below, but with. So there's absolutely no question that Jesus, across all of the Gospels, of course, but especially in Luke, demonstrates a profound concern for those that are lost, the poor, the purposeless. But Jesus does not only care for the lost, but also for those who are excluded, for those who have been left behind, those who are being treated unfairly, those who have been left out. And sadly, in our society, it is the people, our black brothers and sisters, our people of color, our indigenous brothers and sisters that are seemingly most disproportionately represented the marginalized and the left out and the dispossessed. So Jesus cares for all of those who need hope, purpose, and meaning in their lives. So as such, I believe that Jesus' words today are speaking to us of and about this protest that we are experiencing in this nation, unlike anything we've experienced in decades, if ever, in our lifetime. The situation, this, whatever you want to call it, a sit-in, an occupation, a protest, has grown exponentially over the last week. This situation has gone well beyond, I believe, an issue of vaccine passports and vaccine mandates. There is something much more fundamental at play here. And I think that those of us who are shaking our heads and shaking our fists at this disruption and chaos might be reminded that Jesus came down to be with them too. It's been interesting this week watching the news and watching some of these people protesting being interviewed. And often when the interviewer asks the question, "Why are you here?" they'll say, "Freedom." Freedom. Freedom? Freedom from what? We live in Canada, one of the freest nations on the planet. We are one of the most blessed nations in the world. Freedom. I think they mean something much deeper than just freedom from passports or vaccines or regulations. I think that they are seeking freedom from uncertainty. They are seeking freedom from a sense of purposelessness, freedom from anxiety and fear, freedom from the despair about the future, freedom from the mixed and changing messages from those in authority, freedom from feeling left out and that there is no one with them, supporting them. Now, I am certainly no psychologist, but to watch the party-like atmosphere that is happening in some places is quite remarkable. In some manner, these people that are gathering together, I believe, have found like-minded folk. They have in some manner found a sense of purpose. They struggle together. There's a sense of solidarity amongst them. They feel as though they have finally been noticed. They have our attention and certainly the attention of the authorities. And in the midst of this, they have experienced some sort of meaning and purpose. These are the people that I think Jesus came down to as well. He came down to be with people like them in their midst. And this is what I think that those who sit up on the mountaintop must do. They must come down and listen intently to be with those that are feeling disenfranchised and purposeless. They really must hear them. They must take our cue from the example of Jesus. They must really have ears to listen and hear what is at the heart of these that feel less than. This, I suspect, doesn't really surprise us when we stop to think about it. A very wise friend of mine once said to me that a parent is usually only as happy as his or her least happy child. That has proven certainly true in my own life and my own experience countless times. And I think the biblical witness suggests this may be true of God as well. So no wonder Jesus comes to be with them. No wonder he lifts up the disenfranchised as worthy of God's regard and chastises those who ignore them. God comes to be God and parent to all. It is hard to hear and to see that Jesus comes to be with and to give purpose and meaning to all who are in need. He even those that we are angry at and who we do not understand. We must all come down off of the mountain to be with and to listen to and to regard those who are seeking a sense of belonging, purpose, and hope. Jesus came down with them and stood on a level place. Of course he did, so that we might too. Thanks be to God. Amen.